No,
No, I had no idea what he was doing. I mean, now that you say that, I feel like I did know that.
yeah.
Because he was telling me about the time that water was leaking all the way through.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yes, and I remember him showing. I do remember that.
Yep.
Did you see this? Did you see this?
Well, you know what? I saw.
I know. I sent you their picture.
You know, but this is beautiful. I mean, I got in here 5 minutes still because I had some. I think me and your dad were up at grandma's cleaning house. Huh? Well, yeah, I know. I didn't figure, but I mean, in terms of like, was it? Did people get a chance to speak? Did they?
So I think we had about 3 people speak.
Huh?
We had 3 people speak.
Who spoke the most? Was it
Kyle was doing his presentation. He did his whole presentation.
Did he occupy the majority of the speaking time?
Yes. And then we had Chad Hurst, or Kimberly Hurst.
Okay.
And then they're going to come and then whoever to speak.
Who was the one that said I wanted to speak and didn't get a chance? Who was that? Sue.
Sue. Really? Yes, I told her. I said, listen, Jim Campbell's not here. No. Because he was driving. Oh, that's yours.
Don't I have it?
No, that's for city council.
Oh, this is city.
This one's yours. Yes. And this one's yours. Do you want to shut the door?
It says moss, so I'll push this in.
Thank you.
Our next meeting is going to be starting at 5. So if you're not here for the redevelopment commission meeting, you need to step outside.
Kyle about got up. He just got walked out. I know.
I said something to.
She's shutting up.
She walked out. I just kind of. I said, did you get the decision? She really didn't know. I was looking. Yeah. I said, no. Back off. Yeah, I mean, and I was standing out front.
I didn't even know you were here.
I was just in the back.
Oh,
Okay. Meeting is called to order. Does everybody have the minutes in front of them? Are there any questions about the minutes?
Just as I recall them, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes 5/11/26 be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved. I think what we're going to start with is our friends from Indianapolis in their presentation of the annual redevelopment, Baker Tilly, the annual presentation. So take it away.
All right.
I feel like we just did this.
Well, that was
I know.
This is the second presentation of the
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So I'm Kyle Cross with Baker Tilly. Most of you guys know me, and I'm joined by Peter, who also works with us. He did all the hard work of putting this together. I just get to talk about it.
Nice to have you here, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
It's the top numbers here, and they want a copy of this. You can have a copy of it. There's a couple left right here. But anyway, this is the TIP annual report. So the April 15th report that I was here I was actually at the council meeting a couple months ago was looking historically in 2025. This is looking forward, and you can kind of get a look at where the TIP's expected to go and see some of those increases which we hope for. But this presentation is required, and you need to invite people at the tax units with Joannis and Caro. And we need to talk about the long-term plan, the budget, and any impact to the overlapping taxing units. So not only are we meeting that requirement with this PowerPoint and this presentation, but it's also good to just talk about the TIF, at least once a year and where you guys are headed and as the TIF area grows. So that's what this is for. So let's keep this pretty informal. So if you have questions during these, don't hesitate to stop me and ask. But slide 2 is just the Redevelopment Commission members.
Chris, do you have one of these?
No,
Do you want one?
yeah, I'll take it. No, that's all right.
Do you want to sit up here?
I don't matter. I'm not
You can-
voting, so
I know,
sit.
but.
And then slide 3 is just Heidi and I's information. Obviously, if you have questions anytime during the year, don't hesitate to reach out to us by phone or by email. And then slide 4, I know you guys are used to this slide, but this is the TIF mechanics slide. So you guys just have the one allocation area, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more here in a bit, but it was created in 2017. At that time, the assessed value that was going to the tax base was locked and will continue to go to the tax base. It's only that base assessed value, or that box in blue, is only adjusted once a year for base utilizations, which we just basically adjust that value for trending so that the TIF isn't getting any general trending to the tax base. And that will continue to be passed through. And then any real growth, so any new construction or one-time changes, like exemptions and things, that generates the incremental assessed value, or the red triangle that you see there. And that incremental value times your tax rate divided by 100 is how you calculate your TIF dollars. And those TIF dollars can be spent in serving or benefiting your economic development area, as long as the project that you want to fund is generally covered in your economic development plan. But it is pretty easy to amend your economic development area, TIF area, and your plan, and it's just really a 4-step process. So that's something that can be done. I think you guys did that with one cable lane just to make sure you had it into your economic development plan. But again, once the TIF area ends, that assessed value would then be passed through to the overlapping units. And typically the way that works is assessed value up and then tax rate down. And we'll, towards the latter of the slides, we'll kind of show what it would look like if your TIF area ended tomorrow, which is kind of a good snapshot. Slide 5 is talking about the redevelopment district, the economic development area, and the allocation area and their differences. So your redevelopment district is really coterminous with the city boundaries, and essentially you have a separate debt limit to kind of the city's debt limit. So you could really levy a special benefits tax to issue debt. The council would still have a say in any debt like that, but it is something that can be utilized. And then the economic development area is just the area to be developed. And your allocation area that's the area in orange there. That is where your actual TIF dollars are generated. So your allocation area can be smaller than your economic development area, but your allocation area can't be bigger than your economic development area. Your guys happens to be coterminous, so the boundaries line up with each other, which you see a lot of times. Then slide 6. Kind of like I hinted at, you can separate and reestablish the areas. Yes. Yes.
Mine went blank. The economic development area is the area to be developed,
Yes.
right? And then the allocation area is where the money can be spent.
Yeah, because sometimes your economic development area could be bigger than your allocation area, as in you want to be able to spend your TIF dollars to develop, properties, but maybe you don't want to have them in your TIF area because they're not at this point like positive generating parcels. So then you would maybe leave them out.
Mhm.
So that can happen from time to time.
But right now ours are one and the same.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then you can separate and reestablish TIF areas. You can expand, connect TIF areas. You just want to be careful, when you're making changes to make sure, of TIF loss. And the table on the right of page 6 just tells you kind of the history. So our friends down at the state, over time have changed TIF expirations depending on when they were created. So now we're on a 25 years from the time that you issue debt payable from those TIF revenues. So your clock technically hasn't started on your TIF area because there's no debt associated with it.
Right.
And one of the changes they just made, because I know there's a potential housing TIF looking forward, is instead of a 20-year life, you can now have a 25-year life from any debt issuance. So that got
For housing.
more aggressive for housing, to support housing. And then jumping into your guys' actual allocation area on page 8. So the area was created in 2017. It was amended in 2019 to designate and to capture personal property for Harrison Steel. And so that was the kind of the one change. And then it expires 25 years from any issuance of debt, which hasn't occurred. The estimated annual TIF for pay 25 was 161,000. You guys actually collected just around 160,000, so the collections were on par with the estimate. And then for pay 26, the TIF estimate is expected to increase to about 197,000, which is also good to see, especially because there was a tax rate decrease from 25 to 26. So even with the tax rate decrease, the TIF is still, increasing. And part of that is, with the personal property abatement rolling off, which we'll talk about on the next slide, but it's still good to see. So we're going to look a little bit farther forward on page 9 with a graph. And so you kind of have two things happening here. The blue bar, or the real property, is actually, as you can see, decreasing over time, and that's because of some of those SCA1 deductions from last year. So homeowners and some other properties get some additional deductions that is basically lowering the property tax bill and the revenues that are coming into the TIF area. So you're seeing a decrease there, but then the red bar is the personal property for Harrison Steel, and that's increasing over time because there's a property tax abatement that's rolling off over the next several years. So generally, when you factor in the decrease and the increase is kind of winning right now. And hopefully it even looks better than this, because with the real property, we don't assume any growth, which obviously we would hope there's going to be some growth, but we like to stay conservative.
With the, is SB1, is that going to affect us next year, do you think, negatively?
Yeah, and that
in the amount.
And that's, we're showing that in here. So we actually look at each individual parcel into a model that we have, and then it calculates as those deductions change, for 27, 28, 29, 30, 31.
Okay, gotcha.
It changes the estimates that we have in here. So that's why you're seeing that decrease in the blue bar.
Okay, gotcha.
So we are factoring that in.
Okay.
So the summary is you're still seeing an estimated increase because of the personal property, even though the real property is decreased. But again, the real growth that could happen in the TIF area could outweigh the SCA1 deductions, but we're just not modeling any estimates on that.
Okay.
And then on slide 10, this is a cash flow schedule. So we've brought the revenue estimates from the last page, and we're looking at 26 and 27. For the estimated expenditures, we basically just use the rows from your spending plan that was approved in December of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It may not actually look like this, but just as a starting point, we wanted to plug those expenditures numbers in. We can obviously adjust them if you want. But as you can see in 26, if you really do spend 188,000, which you may not, you see an increase to your balance of 9,000. You started the year with just over 500,000, so it would increase to 513,000, and then you'll see something similar for 27 there, just a little bit more revenue. Then slide 11 is just a summary of your economic development plan, which just allows you to spend your TIF revenues. So a lot of the language in the economic development plan is pretty general, which allows you to spend it pretty flexibly. You guys did add in some language on one cable lane just to make sure you were covered to be able to spend money on that project. And then kind of the third phase of the presentation is the impacts of the overlapping units. So slide 13 will show you the overlapping taxing units that make up the Attica taxing district, or 008. We have the county, township, city, school, library, and any special taxing districts. And then slide 14 is really trying to answer the question of, does TIF take away from other taxing units? And generally, when you talk about that, a lot of times you'll hear the but-for test, which is, if you're giving incentives that basically, if the increased assessed value from the new development would not occur but for the TIF incentive, then it cannot be lost to the other tax units. So if you're giving an incentive just to give it, then you're not meeting the but-for test. But if it's really helping a company locate here or have the wherewithal to be able to expand their current business here, then it's not really taking away from other units. It's kind of the thought there. And then also TIF postpones adding new assessed value to the tax base, which would postpone mostly a tax rate decrease, except and postpone some increased revenues for rate limited funds, which we're going to get to a little bit down the line here, and postpone circuit breaker credit. So it doesn't really take it away completely. At some point, the area would expire, and then those effects would happen. And then also you can pass, your TIF area is still kind of in a, as we would say, an infancy stage, and it's been growing. If there was a time where you didn't have the projects or the projects that for the money that you're bringing in, you could pass through assessed value to the tax base while the area is still before it sunsets. And so if you kind of had an abundance of TIF that you didn't have projects for, you could pass through. Historically, you haven't done that just because, again, you're in kind of the infancy stages. That is something you can do, and you have to decide that by June 15th every year, which I think was either this meeting or the last meeting.
Yeah.
And then slide 15 kind of just takes it a step further. I won't read off the slide, but this is just a study by Larry DeBoer, who's very active from municipalities in Indiana, and just says, there's no loss or shifting if that but-for test is satisfied and there's no other means for providing that incentive. Slide 16, I know in the previous years there's been a lot of talk about schools, and so this is, the box on the right there is examples of under like the general statute, I believe, that you can spend TIF dollars, which is training programs and workforce development and different things like that. And you can typically get pretty creative with things you can help with, and we've talked about that in the past. But just remember, the schools are largely funded by the state. And I guess one thing I'll point out, in your taxing district, you don't have a referendum, but you have a fire territory. And so the fire territory and the way the levy and rates work benefit from the TIF. So if the TIF does well, that AV increases the tax base for the fire territory. So I always like to point that part out. But so any referendum or fire territory actually benefits from the TIF because that incremental value actually goes into the tax base. So for example, when we calculate our TIF estimate for you guys, we have to take out the fire territory rate because it doesn't, go to the REC. And on slide 17, you can see that, but really small font. Sorry about that. But basically wanted to show the current situation is we show the tax rate, the NAVs, and the levies for each essentially fund in categories at the top there. We have to break some out, or for each unit, we have to break some funds out just because of the way they are operated, kind of like the fire territory. We had to break those out on their own lines. But really the point is, okay, that's what it looks like today for pay 26. And then you guys are capturing 196,000. That won't match the number from before because you have like 3 parcels in your 007 taxing district, but the 196 is all the parcels in the 008. So it'll just be slightly different. But you're generating approximately 196,000 in 2026. Okay, what would it look like if you passed through all that AV or you decided, hey, we want to end our TIF area tomorrow? So if that happens, that's the second scenario that you see there. So obviously, you'd no longer be receiving TIF dollars, so you wouldn't have the 196,000. But where the main benefit, because there's positive and negatives to everything, right? You either have the TIF dollars or you have what we're showing in scenario 2, which is for the majority of the funds, the tax rate is just going to decrease a little bit. So we're showing an estimated decrease across all units of 7 cents. And you would be only receiving about 7,100 of increased revenues for rate limited funds, which are typically like your CCD, cumulative capital funds, where your rate's locked, but an increase in AV actually helps your levy. And the reason that is because the city can only grow its budget annually by the maximum levy growth quotient, which, for example, last year was 4%. So when you can only grow by that 4% and you have all this AV increase, then that just puts downward pressure on the tax rate. So while that's a good thing, and potentially, depending on where people are in correspondence to the circuit breakers, property owners could have a lower tax bill, you wouldn't have the 196,000 TIF to be able to spend on projects to improve your city.
Right.
That's a trade-off, right? And then on slide 18, I think this is just a rah-rah slide that economic development takes everyone working together, and I think that's the point of a redevelopment commission and trying to get things done in the city. So that's the presentation. So if anyone has any questions, even if it's council members, we can definitely answer.
Any questions? Do we need to make a recommendation
No, this
to
is
do
just for
anything? You're just gonna go,
information.
you're gonna go ahead and present tonight also?
Not to the council. We
No, this is
technically
just-
invited them to come to this
Yeah,
one.
this is just
Okay.
redevelopment.
The April
Okay.
15th report that we did, we do that one to the council. This one's just for redevelopment.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Peter, nice having you with us.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for the hard work on your
Peter's
paperwork.
like me like
That-
5 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that Kyle made you do, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for making Kyle look good.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay. Under old business. It has the Cable Lane development and Stump, I believe, has sent me a phase 1 update. I don't have it printed out and I don't have, we'll have to look at that at the next meeting and I'll make sure everybody has a copy of that. But that was to say what we needed to do in the process of looking at getting Cable 1 ready. So that's in the works. Under the motorized vehicles and Cable 1, I had called Judd after the last meeting and he said simply posting a no trespassing would help us, even if we were sued, we have said there's no trespassing. We're not going to sit up there and monitor that, but at least notice has been made that is private property. So that has been done to my knowledge. Anybody else know any different?
I haven't looked back there.
Huh?
I haven't looked back there, but
Okay.
Is there signage coming then? So do
Well,
we?
it was supposed to be posted. It was just supposed to be a sign that said no trespassing.
Right.
I don't think I saw anything
I
when I
don't
was at my
think-
grandma's house.
No, we were just up there today. I don't recall seeing it. If it is, it's not visible, but I mean, it might
Well,
be
then,
coming.
well, Tim said he was going to put that up.
Okay.
So
All right, well,
I will double check, and if it's not, we'll get it up.
do you know, Roger? Okay, I
I
don't.
was saying, I didn't see anything the other day, but
Okay. Thanks for that. Um,
he
Oh,
said
no.
he posted signs and they got torn down, so that he is going to remount them.
oh,
Let's hope
My.
we did it rather than a person.
I don't know if we did it. I didn't know where they like.
it could be the weather.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't seen them.
Okay, I did make a call to Tom Pittman about if the RDC money can be encumbered. And I was told, yes, we can do that, Joanne.
I know you said that. I saw that information, not quite sure what the process is, so that's something we can look into.
Okay, but that was,
Do you know Kyle?
That might be more
Wrong
of a
one.
Ross
Wrong
question.
Okay, okay.
I don't want to be incorrect on the spot, but if Tom said it, you can do it, then I think you can do it.
well, what I originally did is I called Baker Tilly and was told, that's a Tom Pittman question.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's who I called. And he said, yes, you can do that. And I was thinking primarily of the school because we have that certain amount of money set aside that we budgeted for the school. And I thought if we didn't spend it all this year, could we roll that over until next year? And then have next year's draw.
Because that is limited where the rest of the funds aren't, but the percentage you can use for the school is set.
Right.
There's a maximum amount versus the other funds that can be used.
So
at
if
our
we can
discretion.
use 4% again next year, then we would have 4% next year plus whatever we roll over. So he said that, yes, go ahead. So as long as that's in the minutes that we can move forward on that, we'll do so. I wanted to share with you as they presented in our forum here tonight that the budget, what page is the budget on, guys?
Mm,
Maybe
There's a
page
We had $38,000 set aside for school
Yeah.
that we could use. And I don't know, Chris, you might be interested, or at the last meeting, I said I would talk to them because they were wanting to do some modules and training packets and stuff for the school. And what they're doing is they're setting up right now for 6th grade, and they're going to be taught in the fall, and it's on different career modules. Everything from design and marketing, cosmetology, welding, home improvement. There's finance, and they've got already, I think, 8 modules set up. And one that I thought about, which I really liked, is design and marketing, because I thought we could get the kids interested in that, and then down the road, they could be part of a design and marketing program for us, for the city. They could use, and then we could set them. Another phase is they're going to be, doing job shadowing. They're going to be doing research. They're going to be doing work placement as they get into high school. So it's all going to snowball. It's all going to build on each other. But the first thing is they need these modules. And another one is cosmetology. And you may think, I had a girl saying that she was going to go into cosmetology, but she was going to use that to pay for her way through college. And I thought, okay, that's really pretty creative and pretty worthwhile. She could either set up her own business or go straight to work after high school, or else she could go on to college and help pay her way through college. So those are the 2 modules that I liked, and the cost is $7,190.
7,000 a piece or 7,000?
No, total.
Well, I feel like we already have a budget.
For the 8?
Huh?
For the 8 that were presented,
For the 2 that we would do.
for the 2, okay.
Yeah. Each one's around $3,000, depending.
Gotcha.
There's one on physical therapy. There's all different kinds of modules. And they're working with getting other providers in the community to sponsor those, whether it's the hospital or Duke Energy or whatever, Harrison Steel. So we can start that collaboration now, and we can build on it. So in 3 or 4 years, we've really got our students ready to move on. So I wanted to bring that up, and I also wanted to talk about, I think at this time, I know that we have a couple teachers that are interested in getting their masters and possibly leading on to teaching dual credit. And how can we help incentivize that? What can we do? And we've got money set aside in this account. That's a project that I would like to work on, because I think it's going to benefit, not only our school, but it's going to be attractive to our whole community when we say, I think we've already got, 4 teachers that are, and then we add 2 more. One of them is in math, which is, we don't have a math person right now, but if we can get this person accredited, and sometimes it's, just assisting with $100 to take the test, determining what is necessary for that person to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to further research that and see if we can't move forward in that type of support, because I think it really would be developing our community. So I guess what I'm asking for is permission to do that, and then support with a motion to accept doing the 2 modules for the $7,100.
Can
There'd be 2 different motions is what you're gonna need. They wouldn't be together, right?
I think I think they would be separate.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about?
No.
Listen,
Sure,
I have a question,
sure.
but it's probably not going to be a popular question, and I don't want anybody to think I don't know who you're referring to with anybody like going back to school to get their master's degree or anything like that. The concern I have is if we do that, I mean, they could leave next year.
Well, there could be stipulations. That's something to be worked
Is
out.
that something that we
That's
could?
something that could be ironed out, that if,
Okay.
if we do this, we would expect, 5 years worth of service or whatever, but the
Okay.
nitty gritty in the grass would be worked out.
I like that. I think that I like
It would-
that.
yes.
Yes, that sounds good. I'm very much
So
for
would
that.
the motion that you're asking for be to move forward with figuring that part of it out, then is figuring out the.
Just meeting and report back of
Yeah, okay.
what is feasible for them and us.
I make motion to find or do some research on supporting teachers that are going back to get their master's degree in some way, shape,
Okay,
or form.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor for further exploration of how we can provide incentives for people going back for their master's degree, which would lead to the dual credits? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, done. And then I need a motion for sponsoring the 2 labs, the cosmetology and the design and marketing.
And those have been already established. I mean, those have, we're funding them.
They're new
Correct.
for this year. That'll be, yeah.
They're gonna come with all the equipment and they're just gonna set them up and they've already got somebody to teach the class.
And how did that figure get arrived at? I mean, was that presented to you?
Yes.
That was given to you? Okay.
Yes. I worked with Stacy Mattern, who's the guidance counselor, and is
Got it.
putting the whole project
Okay.
together.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve the funding of the 2 labs, cosmetology and design and marketing, at the tune of $7,190. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Sounds good. Okay. Like I said, I will get the information out from Brian Stump on his report to us about phase 1 of Cable 1. I just don't have that information ready tonight.
Yeah.
But I can email it to you.
I did get the quote for the mowing.
Mowing.
So he said that the first one would still be the exact same price as it was for the last year, that it was $800. And then he didn't really know what to charge for depending on what you wanted to do, if you want to do like a monthly mowing, or so he originally quoted me $300, but he didn't know.
You didn't know?
He didn't know and I said, because Roger's there all the time. I mean, I'm happy to like go down and take pictures and be like, hey, or, like we could monitor it and say, hey, it probably needs to be mowed. And I feel like, we were doing it $800 a piece,
Was the 800 twice a year?
800 for one, 800 for another twice. Yeah. For just 2
Right.
times. Yeah.
2 times.
So and I feel like, did we do it in October? I feel like we did it later.
We did do one. We did do one after we purchased it, and then we did one later in the fall.
I feel like it was October.
Okay. So
So, I mean, I'm just thinking if we have them mown now, so June, and maybe you did
And then look and see-
mid-July, like
see when it needs it.
Yeah.
And then it'll give us a better.
to kind of get an idea. And Roger, if you guys are back there, you can always be like, hey, I feel like it needs to be mowed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like as the neighborhood could be like, hey, it's kind of, yeah. So as long as,
Not like it's atrocious by any
no, it's not bad. It's just, I also don't want the person that's mowing it to also feel like they're doing an $800 job for less money, like for a lot less money, since that's what they quoted us. So, but if you're good with it, I can have him mow out there as soon as we're ready for the first one. If you'd like me to do that. Do we need to make a motion for
Do we
that?
need a motion on that, or just do it? It's just a.
I mean, it's just routine maintenance, I don't know that you need a
Right.
motion on it. I
Okay.
think you just need to
It's just
decide
how often you
forward.
just do it and then
Yeah.
what the charge would be if it's, yeah.
I mean, the money's there to pay for it.
And
Yeah.
I'm guessing like by the next time that we have another meeting,
We'd have an idea.
we'd have an idea to be like, hey, it's probably getting time that we could
Right,
talk
we
about it
probably need to
then.
do it every 6 weeks.
Exactly,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, 6 weeks is
Something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
So I'll tell him that he can mow then. You're good with that?
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay. I think that's it.
Do we have anything else? Do you have
No, I
anything?
don't have.
Anybody out there have anything they want to bring up? Okay, well, our next meeting is going to be July.
We do this every time.
13.
July 13th at 5:00.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So done.
Adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice.
Oh, Joanne.
Just your turn to turn that on.
What?